Hello and welcome to my bathroom. So I've missed a lot of days of the Strike Back Videothon tag, and I really wanted to do all of them because it's just a really cool thing to do, to contribute to, and I fell off the bandwagon because of mental health stuff. If you haven't noticed, great! Just ignore everything that I just said. Basically because I've missed essentially I want to say 15 days of the Strike Back Videothon, I'm going to do a lightning round of a bunch of these tags. I might not get to all of the tags in this one video because I do want to keep it short and sweet. I'll not be reading off a synopsis, but I will provide all the synopsis down below for each tag, for each book. So just definitely check out the tags below if you have any questions about what books are about. And then I also haven't gotten ready for my day yet, which I'm not doing a whole lot today, but I might as well get ready. It's a good thing to do, especially when you don't have anywhere necessarily to be. It just gets you productive, gets you going. So I thought we could do this get ready with me style, where we're gonna spend half of this video in my bathroom getting ready with me, and then once I'm ready we can finish up out in the living room. I last left off on tag number 3. Some of these tags may not apply to me and may not be something I can do in this video, so I might hit skip. For example, number 4 is favorite music and favorite book. I don't really have enough time to do that in a speed lightning round, so I'm just gonna go ahead and skip that one for now. So number 5 is sequels that I want to read. So I'm actually getting one of them in the mail tomorrow. I'm very excited, and I've talked about this 1.5 million times on here, so I apologize if I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but the 5th book, Wolves of Calla, whatever it is, by Stephen King, the 5th book in the Dark Tower series. I am so excited to read it because I loved the 4th book. I heard that the 4th book is one of those that you either really, really love or really, really hate because it's basically an entire flashbacks book. It's not just a chapter, it's not just half a book to provide some backstory. It is a whole big, thick, very complicated book that's just a flashback. I'm really excited to finally continue the series on the actual story, the what's happening now story basically, which I guess in the Dark Tower series everything is always happening now. So right now I'm actually reading the 3rd book in the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown, Morningstar. And so far that one has been a little bit mixed for me. I started off with it really strong because I was just gaga over Red Rising and Golden Sun, so I had really high expectations for the 3rd book, and it's not really meeting those expectations, but it's also not bad, so I don't know, I'm having mixed feelings. I also have not read the 3rd book in the Peculiar Children series. I generally know what happens, not because of the book, but because of a book review that I watched. Basically, it was a spoiler one, and I watched it anyway because spoilers don't really bother me for the most part. We're not doing anything crazy or fancy today, so I hope you weren't expecting that. So a sequel that does not exist yet, that I really wish did, that I hope exists soon is, I don't really know what he's called his series, but Damned and Doomed by Chuck Palahniuk. The hypothesis is that it's supposed to be a trilogy. Because definitely when you read the 2nd book, it ends not really on a cliffhanger, but there's definitely unresolved stuff going on. So the story has not completed itself. I really hope that this does not turn into a George R.R. Martin thing, but if it turns into a Dark Tower thing, where yeah, it took him a while, but eventually when he got around to it, it was amazing, then I'd be okay with that. So I trust Chuck Palahniuk. I just really want to read this 3rd book finally, and if there's a 4th book, I hope he's already got that figured out by the time he publishes the 3rd book. In case you didn't read the update for my video on Stillhouse Lake, I was completely wrong. It's not a duology. There will be more books. I don't even know if it's going to end at the 3rd book, but there is a 3rd book currently in production, and it will be coming out this year apparently. So I'm really excited to read that. Though the 2nd book did wrap everything up really nicely. So I think that's gonna conclude tag number 5. Tag number 6 is bookish merch collection. I don't really have enough time to grab everything, and I don't even have that much bookish collection stuff, so I can't really do that one anyway, so we're gonna skip straight to classic I want to read. So there's a lot of classics I want to read. So I am a huge Jane Austen fan. I actually have not read Northanger Abbey, not because I don't want to, but because I know once I read the last Jane Austen book I haven't read, it's the only one I haven't read, then I have no more Jane Austen to read, and I basically just have to do rereads. I don't mind rereading Pride and Prejudice at all. I will reread the shit out of that every day, all day. It's not like a Chuck Palahniuk or a Stephen King or really any of the current modern authors today. because once I read it, I've read it, and I can't read any more Jane Austen. I can't look forward to any new Jane Austen coming out. I have not read yet The Count of Monte Cristo, and I get all the time every time I say that, but I definitely want to read it. I just haven't gotten it. See, part of me doesn't want to do my skin because I'm not really going anywhere or doing anything, but at the same time, my foundation, which is Amazonian Clay by Tarte Cosmetics, my skin actually loves this stuff. Like, my skin is so happy after I take it off. It's like doing a clay mask, but just putting on makeup. And so I kind of feel like putting it on kind of as like a skincare regimen. I can't guarantee everybody's gonna have that reaction because I know a lot of people don't. I think I will. I think I'm gonna do my skin. I think there's a lot of Shakespeare I haven't read yet, and I would like to. So that was tag number 7. Moving on to tag number 8 is a book boyfriend slash girlfriend. Let's face it, we've all wanted to date a book character at one point or another. So definitely true. I could spend all day making my case for Mr. Darcy because I know there are some people who think that he's problematic, and I have so much to say to those people. And I'm not pretending that he's perfect, but no man is gonna be perfect, and if you do have like a perfect person, like, I don't know, Edward Cullen, who I have nothing against, by the way, just putting that out there, then like, it's just not realistic. Like, the people in your life that you're gonna meet are going to be flawed beyond I wanna eat you. So does anyone sometimes think that Edward wanting to eat Bella is like a euphemism, like one giant euphemism? Like him being a vampire was just one giant euphemism? I should make a video on Twilight because like I have a whole slew of things to share with the world about that. And in case that you're wondering if I like Twilight, at the time that I read them in high school while they were coming out, yes I did. But I had a very unhealthy relationship with the series, I guess you could say. And so I just separated from it, and then yeah, that's like a whole story. I should make a whole video on that, and I will. I want to say Rhysand from the ACOTAR series, but at the same time, not really. Honestly, he's not the type of person that I would end up with or date. Would I bang him? Probably. Fun fact, I'm allergic to this powder, but I still use it. It makes my nose run throughout the entire day, and then if I use it too much, I start getting scabs inside my nose. It's really bad, and I still use it because I spent the money on it. So I'm gonna use it until I run out, and then I'll move on to something else. I don't remember his last name, but Jim from On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. He is like kind of my ideal dude, which it works out really well because Zoe is a lot like him. He was very devoted, and he's very sweet and genuine and open-hearted and like had no bitterness or resentment in his heart whatsoever, and I thought he was brilliant, perfect, and just a good human being. And that is who my boyfriend is, and I feel like I did find my Jim. I know I never stop talking about this book series. I know I don't. And I'm sort of sorry, but not really. But Roland from the Dark Tower series, book boyfriend right there. I love me a Roland, at least the Roland I've made in my head. Like, since the movie was announced, Roland will always be Idris Elba in my eyes. And I love Idris Elba. So those would be my main squeezes for that tag, I guess. Moving on, so that was tag number 8. Tag number 9, cover buys. Books I bought just because of the cover. So I'm going through my list and I realize I don't really buy books based off of their cover. I know I have, I just haven't in a while. I've been picking books that I like, have been recommended or gifted and stuff like that. So I haven't picked any of these. Oh, I know one that I did. I picked this was a long time ago, but I picked the Divergent series because of the cover. I just really liked them. I kept seeing them and they kept catching my eye. And then eventually somebody said, yeah, it's actually a good series. And then I picked it up and I read it, and it was a good series up until a certain point, and then it just wasn't. I mean, I was gonna get around to reading all of Chuck Palahniuk anyway, but I picked Damned out of all of his books because of the cover. So I don't know if that counts, but for the sake of needing content for this tag, I'm gonna say that it counts. Also a really long time ago, but I do recall very specifically getting this book because of the cover, is Looking for Alaska. Yeah, but I don't often pick books because of their covers. At least I don't often read them or buy them because of their covers. But there are books where I think to myself, I wanna read that just because of the cover. But I don't ever end up doing that. That was number 9, moving on to number 10. 10 is Small Booktuber Shoutout. I'm gonna reserve this for a separate video because that's gonna be long and I wanna make sure we have links and if possible pictures for all of you. So I'm gonna do that one next week and it's gonna be big, it's gonna be a long one. Nice big list. Number 11 is Series I Won't Finish. First of all, we gotta pick a lip color. I I'm so conflicted because I haven't been really wearing the lipstick, so I decided the next time I was gonna wear lipstick, I was gonna do something dark and plum because it's technically winter, but it is California winter, so it's 75 degrees today. And so it's sunny and it's beautiful outside, and so I don't really know if that counts, but I want to. All right, couldn't really talk while I was putting on lipstick. I read the first book of Cassandra Clare's City of Bones or whatever. What is that one called? Shadowhunter series. And I could not stand it. I could not stand the writing. I could not stand the characters. The plot was pretty cool and unique, and that was fine. So I didn't have problems with that. But yeah, I found it to be quite intolerable, so I will not be finishing that series. The third book of the ACOTAR series, honestly, for me, was so underwhelming and disappointing that if there are more books, which there are, they've already been announced, they just announced a cover. So like novellas and continuations, spin-offs, and things like that, I will not be reading those. I have lost faith in that franchise, both in I guess the writing, but mostly the publisher. Like, I don't trust the publisher to actually edit and polish the stories. The stories themselves are not bad. I really enjoyed the stories. So it's less on Sarah J. Maas's creativity, and more that her writing needs editing and polishing, and they just don't seem to want to put in the effort for that, and I pay way too much money for this shit, so until they can show me they can give me like a proper product, I'm not going to be investing anymore in that series. I don't know if I would read Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. So I'm currently getting through Morning Star, and I say getting through because it's just not enjoyable to me, and I know that it's nothing specific I can place yet. Haven't really been able to figure out exactly what it is about the story or the writing that I hate. I mean, I guess never say never, but it would take a pretty convincing review, as I've said in my reviews of the series, to get me to consider reading it again. I love how this is so light compared to this, because my natural hair grows in very dark, like almost black but brown, and then because my hair is so long, like the further down you get, the lighter it is because of all the sun bleaching that it gets, because this hair is from like more than last summer ago, so it's gone through a lot of weather. All right, I'm done getting ready, so let's move to the living room. Favorite bookish romances. So, On the Other Side by Carrie Fletcher, as I've mentioned earlier in this video, had a really cute love story between Ivy Snow and Vincent Winters. I always get their last names mixed up because she did like that cute little themed named thing. I really like the way they met. I really like that they we're kind of star-crossed lovers who didn't end up together but also didn't kill themselves. They were in a situation where they couldn't be together and they both moved on with their lives, while always remembering that love and always having that in their heart. So I really love that love story. I love that the love between them was so genuine and so compassionate. Like, it wasn't selfish at all. I love Roland and Susanna from the Dark Tower series, so yeah, I'll stop talking about that series one day. Maybe not, probably not. God, what other books have I read? Jeez, like, why am I blanking on books all of a sudden? I don't know. I don't really like ship all that often. I mean, I was always a Harry and Hermione shipper. I was never for Ron and Hermione. I literally can't think of like what books I ever read, and that's my biggest problem right now. Oh, when Dimple met Rishi. I liked the romance in that one. It was a really cute romance, and I really liked their whole like setup. So definitely I want to go with that one. And I do want to do a book review for that, but I read it a few months ago at this point, and so I feel like it's not as fresh in my head. I don't know, I don't tend to read a whole lot of books where romance is really the focus. I would really like to read more romance novels because I feel like I'm not a fully rounded reader because I don't really read romance novels. I'm not big into the steamy romance novels. I think I just don't really like books where the main focus is like finding love, because there's so much more to live for other than that. So I like books that focus on all the other aspects of life in addition to love. Moving on to number 13, quick reads recommendation. Definitely The Alchemist. That one is super short and is amazing. It's so good. Really Paulo Coelho, he's really good at writing short stories that have long-lasting effects, books that stick with you. Because I would also, in his category, recommend Veronica Decides to Die and 11 Minutes. Those are 3 books by him that I always think about and that I always go back to, especially Veronica Decides to Die. That one personally resonated with me on certain levels, not like all of them, not the suicidal one, but like there's a lot of stuff that went into it where I was like relatable. So those are all 3 very short books that are good. Big Fish, I would recommend reading, but I would recommend reading it with somebody and with a book club if possible, because you definitely get the most out of that book when you talk about it with somebody else. As a book by itself, there's a lot to be discovered, but it's more fun to discover it with other people. Moving on, number 14, disappointing reads. So number 1 has got to be A Court of Wings and Ruin, for me at least. That was like one of the most disappointing reads I've ever read. Also, I just read Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, which got amazing reviews. It was super highly recommended. One of the book clubs I'm part of read it, and I didn't get to read it with them. And so I wanted to get around to it because I had bought it to read it with them. And I finally read it, and I was like, this is not good in my opinion, at least as a story. The writing was fine. The characters were but in general the story was not gripping and it wasn't fun. I don't know. I didn't really like it. I'll give that one a proper review later on. So that one was kind of disappointing. Beautiful You by Chuck Palahniuk was really disappointing because it was a really good book and it was a really good story up until the last third of the book. So 2/3 of the book, great, wonderful, gripping, entertaining, classic Chuck Palahniuk. And then the last third of the book just kind of took this nosedive of like, what is going on and how is this relevant to anything that I've read up until this point? And the ending was really disappointing. So I was really upset that that one turned out the way it did. I was really conflicted giving it a rating because I really loved the first 2/3 of the book, and then the last third, it's not that I didn't even, it's not even that I didn't enjoy it, I just didn't understand how it made any kind of connection or any kind of sense to what had already happened in the story. So that one was disappointing as a Chuck Palahniuk fan. Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff was really disappointing because that one also came highly recommended. It has pretty good reviews on both Amazon and Goodreads, and people talk about how much they loved it and how much they related to it and how accurate it is to long-term relationships and things like that. And honestly, like, my longest relationship is like a little over a year, so maybe I just can't relate because I haven't been with somebody long enough to relate to the things that are relatable in that book. But I didn't find any part of the relationship relatable, and I thought overall the characters were really annoying, and the, I guess, romance and or the deeper dives into the aspects of long-term relationships did not seem accurate or authentic or genuine. It never came off that way. I hated the main male character, and the main female character was problematic in all of the fun ways that feminists hate. So I don't know, like, that was really disappointing because I just felt like it was gonna be so much more than it was. Yes Please by Amy Poehler was really disappointing. Again, because that one just came so highly recommended and people were recommending the audiobook, so I went with the audiobook. And honestly, the negative reviews, if you go to like the 3-star and below reviews of that book in both Amazon and Goodreads, you will see people talk about these problems with the book where it was just 100% name droppy and like really jumbled. It just was not a good book, and it didn't give me the insight into Amy Poehler's life that I kind of wanted. It did at times. There were chapters, there were points, but then just so much of the book was repetitive and just went on these long lists of name dropping. I can't even believe the name dropping. Like, it was basically just a book of names. You know how like in the beginning of the Bible, it starts off with like
you know, the son of Job was the father of this, the uncle to the blah, blah, blah. It was like a long list of family heritage and shit like that. That's basically what it felt like, because it was just a long list of names that somehow seemed like it should be related to the rest of the book, but it just wasn't. It was like somebody said, Amy Poehler, I want you to write a book about yourself. And she was like, great, I have all of these stories about other people. So moving on. Number 15 is favorite things about BookTube. What I love about BookTube, and what I love about books in general, is talking about books. I live to talk about books. It's all I really talk about. I love book clubs because I feel like they give so much more value to the books. So what I love about BookTube is I can always get value out of the books that I read, even if I don't like them, by going to BookTube and engaging in the discussions that happen. Sometimes people will defend books that I did not quite enjoy in a way that makes me reflect on what I've read, and then makes me think, oh, you know what, that wasn't a bad book. And I did enjoy it if I look at it from that perspective. So I love that about BookTube. I love just that there's this whole community of people who love books just as much as I do. I love that for the most part, BookTube is a really welcoming, warm community. Definitely there are those people who thrive off of the your ships are problematic, your faves are problematic, your authors are problematic people who just really like to stir the pot. And I don't mean people who give an honest opinion, because if you don't like an author, you don't like an author. That is your opinion and you are totally entitled to that. But then there are some people who take it very personally and will do response videos defending that author and things like that. I'm like, authors don't need you to defend them. Like, they published it, they stand behind it, they know that their work is worth something to somebody. So yeah, but those people are few and far between in the BookTube community. And I mean, just the Strike Back Videothon in and of itself is a very amazing way that the community can support each other. So I think that's just awesome and beautiful, and I love it. Moving on, 16, auto-buy authors. So easy for me is definitely Stephen King, Chuck Palahniuk, Haruki Murakami, Amy Tan, because I love me some Amy Tan. Jane Austen if she was still alive, but you know, I'm trying to think if there's any like young adult authors for me that are auto-buy. John Green used to be an auto-buy for me, but then after I read all of his books, I thought they were all kind of the same story, but just different named characters, with the exception of The Fault in Our Stars, and possibly Turtles All the Way Down, but I haven't read Turtles All the Way Down yet, so we'll see. Paulo Coelho is definitely on that list. I really enjoy all of his books, and I think he has a lot to offer in them beyond just a read. Like, his books just do a really good job of helping me discover things about myself that I didn't know. Number 17, top 10 TBR books. What? So my top 10 TBR, I've talked a little bit about this already, pretty much, but basically, book number 5, Wolves of Calla by Stephen King in the Dark Tower series is definitely number 1 on that TBR. Adjustment Day by Chuck Palahniuk, definitely on that TBR. Right. The Bonesetter's Daughter by Amy Tan, definitely on that TBR. How many is that so far? I don't even know. Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan, because it just comes super highly recommended, and this was a gift from my sister because she read it on an airplane and then gave it to me. She's like, you're gonna love this. So I trust her. We're very, very similar in our personalities. 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. I have like the whole like thing in here. So definitely want to get to this because I love him and his writing is amazing and I'm all about it. Rant by Chuck Palahniuk. I started reading this a while ago. The style in which it's written is a little convoluted for me, so it was really hard for me to get into it, so I put it down for a while. Now I have to start at the beginning because I only got to really page 50 or something like that. So it's a short read though, so I feel like I can get through it pretty quickly. Fuck Feelings by Michael Bennett and Sarah Bennett. It's just hilariously written. I've only read a few pages, like I've skipped through the book a little bit. I actually bought this as a gift for somebody, and then I ended up thumbing through it, and then I was like, yeah, now I need to read this. So I read The Subtle Art of Giving a Fuck last year, and I loved that book, and this one is recommended to people who have read that book as well. The Once and Future Liberal by Mark Lilla. It basically just encapsulates like everything that I feel about extremist liberals these days. This kind of dives into that. Like the first paragraph is basically like, bad liberal, bad. So I feel like I need this because I can get a little overwhelming with my social justice warrior on social media type thing. So Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm really excited to read this book just because it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I love him, and he's so much part of my childhood. I stand behind like him as a person, at least so far. He's one of those people that I'm like hoping and praying doesn't have a sex scandal, with all of the sex scandals coming out with like famous celebrities and stuff like that. So part of what I love about Neil deGrasse Tyson and guys like Bill Nye is they're not actually scientists, they're not actually doctors, but they just took the time to learn all of this shit. And so they are like the trusted authority on a lot of stuff like this because they just wanted to be. I don't know if that was 10, but I hope that maybe I hit 10 because I'm running out of space on my memory card. So number 18, we finally caught up, series I want to finish. I thought we did this one already. I guess it was sequels I want to read, which is a little bit different than series I want to finish, but I'm going to consider that basically the same thing because my answers are basically the same exact thing for that. So, I'm just going to skip that, which means we have caught up, which is amazing. Woohoo! So, thank you so much for watching this. Sorry if it was a little bit long, but it definitely was necessary to catch up because I definitely wanted to get to most of the stuff on this tag. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will start posting daily from here on out, and I will definitely see you tomorrow.